I said that innovation was one of the unforeseen costs of the 2003 and 2004 issues, and I can safely say that in the last couple of years we've got our dreaded innovation mojo back. And 2012 certainly saw the release of a number of fantastic products, particularly in the digital space from a Nedbank perspective, the Nedbank app suite, a product called My Financial Life, and more recently a product on the right-hand side here called Pocket POS, a really great product for tradesmen and electricians, where you can, the moment you finish doing your work at a client's premises, you can get payment just with a Pocket POS and a cell phone at the premises and not wait for either a check or an EFT. So what we've tried to do, I think, in the digital world is say that architecture is in fact key. It's very easy to come to market very quickly with an app. What's much harder is to come to market with an app that is firstly secure and secondly built in such a way that you can drop ongoing innovation into that app in an easy way. Because in this whole world that we live in today of apps, what people think is a great app today, in 6 months' time isn't. So what you need is the agility to be able to continually update what you're doing in the mobile environment. And we've built what we call a secure digital highway that enables us to continually drop innovation into that. At the heart of this is what I can without doubt say is the best security environment in digital in South Africa, a product that we've got called Approve It. And we have lots of debates with the telcos around who's going to win in this convergence environment here. Is it going to be the telcos or is it going to be the banks? And I'm going to try my usual survey with everybody here today. So I'm going to start off with asking you all of a question, because you've all got a bank account and a cell phone. So my first question is, on your cell phone, how many times have you had the cell phone company drop your call? Just raise your hand if you've had that happen to you. Okay, so pretty good. Now I want people to raise their hands if the bank has ever lost their money and not been able to give it back to them. Okay, so if this comes down to a security debate, I know where my money is in terms of who's going to win this environment. I think what's also really, really important is not just security, but simplicity. In building apps and building in the digital world, you have to build things in a way that you can render them once and render them once to multiple phones. As soon as you start building all of these things with what's called a native application, in other words, one that's tailored to each phone type, again, you look hell of a sexy and hell of a smart for a short space of time, but you're creating complexity that over time becomes almost impossible to manage because there's just too much customization going on. And then finally, to build them in a way that's convenient. And again, we spent a lot of effort and energy in building the architecture of our app suite to make sure that it is so-called fat Nedbank. So when you download our app, most of it still sits in Nedbank. You only download a very small amount onto your phone, so it doesn't eat up all of your storage space. But more importantly, that when we roll out changes to the app, we can change those at Nedbank without you having to download an update to the app every single time. So again, lots of complexity, but trying to build this thing in a way that it's built for the long term and not for the short term. And I'm going to talk about two of the products that I quite like that we have launched one of them, and the other one is about to come to the market. Very exciting or interesting product called My Financial Life. And in some ways that came out of my own frustration, which I'll tell you about. So my wife is a nurse, and she doesn't really follow any of this financial stuff. She thinks spreadsheets and all of that are for people from another planet. And whenever I travel, and I travel quite a lot, I sort of worry about if anything ever happened to me and I didn't come back, how would my wife be able to sort of figure out how our financial life fits together? Because there's an onshore life and an offshore life, and there's stuff in trusts, and it's all quite complicated. So I eventually ended up building a spreadsheet around My Financial Life, where I tried to aggregate all of this into one place so that if by chance my travels weren't as successful as I thought, if my wife gave this spreadsheet to somebody who was sort of half financially literate, they'd be able to figure out exactly where everything lived, from insurance to banking to investments to pension funds to wills, all of that in one place. And then Once you've built that, then you figure out, now how am I going to keep this thing up to date? And that's a nightmare, because that's got to be a manual process. So effectively, what My Financial Life is designed to do is to enable you to build this electronically and keep it up to date on the net. So it takes quite a bit of work up front, but it enables you, and you don't have to have all your products with Nedbank, all of your Nedbank products, anything with any other service provider, provided it is accessible through the net and a password, it can screen scrape from that, but it enables you to keep up to date in real time your financial life, which I think is an enormously powerful financial management tool for anybody. The second product I want to talk about is something called electronic bill payment. So certainly South Africa has, a number of challenges, but if you're a customer, a consumer in South Africa, and you have rates to pay, probably two of your challenges are, firstly, it's not often that your rates bill is right. And we see even the ruling party's rates bill isn't always right if we read our newspapers. So because people are worried that their rates bill might not be right, people are loath to sign debit orders because, whatever the bill is, you're just going to get debited and you're going to have to go and stand in a queue somewhere to try and get your money back. So you rely on the postal service for your bills to arrive. Now, therein lies another problem because the bills just don't arrive. So what electronic bill payment and presentment is all about, this is a product that we've built, but it's got quite a way to go before it's got enough billers who've signed up to it. But this is all about enabling billers, a biller being a municipality, a cell phone company, etc., to push their invoices to you electronically. And you get a pop-up message on your phone that says, your rates bill's arrived. Do you want to pay it, yes or no? And all you do is you hit yes, and it gets paid, and it gets filed. Next sort of level of complexity, you should effectively be able to set up, provided my rates bill is between A and B every month, pay it automatically and file it and only ask me if it's outside those parameters. So certainly I think what this does for customers is it puts power back in the hands of customers to choose what and when they want to pay, because it's much more of a customer push mechanism than the debit pull mechanism that currently exists for so many billers. And certainly I think that that's got enormous possibilities going forward.